Today's conversation is sponsored by the Billy Keels Advisory Program. If you want to learn more about how to make your 9-to-5 optional, just go to billykeels.com/advising. Once again, that's billykeels.com/advising.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast, the #1 podcast for the strategies, tactics, and actions high wage earners need for living an intentionally designed life of wealth and resilience.
Welcome to the Going Long podcast. We're back once again to continue to help to educate you so you feel much more comfortable as well as confident in attaining the wealthy and resilient lifestyle that you're looking to lead and being able to do that much faster. I'm your host, Billy Keels, and I'm super excited about welcoming you back to another one of our solo episodes. And before I do that, as you know, the podcast continues to be in the top 1.5% of podcasts globally, largely thanks to you continuing to download the podcast, continuing to share the podcast, and I really appreciate that. So I want to say thank you so much for that. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you that continues to also tag us on social media, on some of the different channels, specifically on LinkedIn and on Instagram. It means the world to us. Thank you so much for that. And also too, if you want to leave your honest written review as well as rating, we always love getting the feedback. It's one of the things we're going to somewhat talk about today, is really want to say thank you. And you can check out a very brief video that's here and we'll just tell you exactly what you need to do on the Apple Podcast platform. And also too, if you want to check out any of the more than 425 plus episodes at this point in time, just go to billykeels.com/podcast. Once again, that's billykeels.com/podcast. So one of the things that high performers, if you are a perfectionist or recovering perfectionist like me, you tend to have followed a pattern in most of your life. You went out, you studied, or you worked really hard, and then you got the good grade, or you got the job, you got the promotion, and things continue to go from the bottom left up into the right, up into the right. So always moving in a positive direction. And so you're just used to things working all the time. And so your whole point in when you're listening to things is, all right, well, if something ever goes wrong, this is what I would do. And that sounds very theoretical. And so let me just tell you, every time that you work on moving outside of your comfort zone, you look to grow, you look to expand. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when something goes wrong. And so having lived a number of years on this earth, I realized like not every single thing goes to according to plan. And one of the things that I want to make sure that I do is share with you what is it that you can do and how you should react when, not if, when something goes wrong. Especially when you are leading a team of people, especially when you are working with others, helping them to grow. The idea is, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to react? Right? People are going to be watching you. And so I thought I would share just a little bit of something that happened to me that I think would be interesting in a way that I can help you to be prepared for when something goes wrong. And this is one of the things, this is probably back in 2014, 15, something like that. I'm probably just over 40 years old. I had, at the day job, absolutely crushing it, going to Hawaii every other year, sales leadership, managed a really large business across Europe, Middle East, and Africa, had massive triple digit growth in terms of sales teams, and a lot of from the bottom lower left to the upper right. So just used to that. And even in college and before that, just always overperforming. And so I tell you that only to say that was kind of what I had gotten used to. And even though I'd started this new thing that I'd been listening to a lot of podcasts and taking the theoretical knowledge, because I was like a theoretical ninja is what I like to say. I knew all this stuff about real estate and eventually real estate and all the formulas and all the things that you should do theoretically. But I had never actually made any purchases. And so I got tired of answering the question, like, what's your portfolio look like? And I started telling people all the formulas, like revenue minus expenses, got you to your net operating income minus your debt service, got you to your cash after debt service. But yeah, people are like, but yeah, how many doors do you have? Anyway, what I will tell you is what that did is eventually once I stopped doing the theory and actually went into practical application of the knowledge, I realized that the stuff that I was learning, although I couldn't apply that in Spain where I was living, I actually started doing that back in the US. And so I started using a lot of the skills that I'd built during my corporate in terms of building teams, in terms of understanding clearly process and being able to locate when things were not functioning well, inefficiently. I was able to bring that right perspective and help things move in the right direction. And so I start thinking about, I had this plan. I wanted to get 10 doors. We'd already gone to 10 doors. It didn't take the 5 years that I thought. It actually took 18 months, so a year and a half. And all along, like the thing that kept motivating me, that kept pushing me is like, I wanted to make more money because I thought if I make more money, that's going to solve all my problems. Because not during the day job, I was making a lot of money. And at the same time, I still had to ask my boss for a day off. It was kind of like, all right, I'm making a lot of money, but I don't control any of my time. So I have to ask if I can. It's like kind of like if you're a kid and you're in school, you have to put your hand up to go to the bathroom. That's kind of what I felt like, although I had a lot of money in my bank account. And so I wanted to make more money. And at the same time, I was thinking, well, I want to keep like on this really good, um, you say in Spanish, you say una buena racha. It's like you're like on this really good streak. And so this good streak, this positive streak, I was buying more, I was making more money, the profitability was high, and I wasn't making any mistakes in this real estate stuff. Well, lo and behold, whenever you think things are going really, really, really well, it's a moment in time. And when you think things are going really, really bad, it's also a moment in time. But this time, I really did realized that I wanted to be the exception to the rule. I wanted to be the person who got to 10,000 doors and made absolutely every single right decision perfectly. Well, that was, I guess, kind of cool because I realized if I could keep doing this, then I wouldn't have to just keep working my day job, because the day job, I realized that there's only 24 hours in a day. There was only so many deals. I was only going to be able to make so much money, even if I did like 300 and some odd percent of my quota. But there was like unlimited upside when I was able to build my own business and do that on the side. And so when I realized that real estate could be the way for me to do that at the time, like those real assets, I was like, wow, this is what I also want to continue to do. Had the plan like I talked about, got to these 10 doors. Didn't take me nearly as long as I thought I would. You come up with a 5-year plan, you do it in a year and a half, and you're like, wow, okay, this is kind of cool. Well, the thing that happened was along the way, kind of rested on the laurels a little bit. One of the things that happened is early on, I learned that you have to get a home inspection. And so because these were duplexes and quadplexes and stuff like that, that's what I would do every single time. That was the process. So I followed the process. I followed my checklist. Well, the thing is I followed the checklist, and I got the home inspection report for this like third property, which is 4 additional doors. The thing is when I got the home inspection report, I didn't actually read it. Like I didn't read it thoroughly. I read it, but I didn't read it thoroughly. And what do I mean by that? Well, in one of the pages, it clearly stated that there was some issues with the roofing and part of the roofing in the underline. And so this excess of confidence that I had and not actually going through and missing a part of the home inspection report, well, eventually, about a year later, that would come back to bite me in the butt, right? Because what happened was we get a notification from the city that there is like rotting on the roof and that things have to be replaced. Well, the problem with that was it wasn't a matter as if something was going to go wrong. It did go wrong. And that issue between having to fix the roof, displaced tenants that had to stay in hotels and all of that stuff for a number of days, meals, et cetera, cost me about $25,000. Right. And so that's no fun, especially when you had this plan, because I had the plan of being able to do everything perfectly, never making a mistake, et cetera. Well, this was a pretty big mistake, and it was one that was a 5-digit mistake. And so when I think back about what could have happened, now there's this whole thing that I wanted to be able to get to this goal of 10 doors, be able to do it in 5 years. And so, yeah, I absolutely accomplished that goal. But the thing is had to realize that I made a mistake. And so I could have chosen to hide my hand in the sand, gotten upset about it, say that, it shouldn't have been that way, but it was on me. And so I realized that I had to figure out, how do I not make this same mistake again? And so one of the things that I did was, first and foremost, make sure that I actually read through every single thing. But more importantly, it wasn't about me anymore. This was about, now, how do I build out a team? How do I build out a team of advisors? How can I have other people who are experts in certain areas, contracts, inspection, construction? How do I bring those people on board? How would I cover my blind spots? And that's what I went to do. And I started realizing that, not only was it okay if there was a mistake that was made, but you can't make the same mistake over and over. So I had to adapt. And so realizing, like, how do you react when mistakes happen? It's a matter of being able to say, okay, well, what's happened? Take an assessment of what went wrong, and also use that as an opportunity to grow, to get stronger, to get better, to surround yourself with the right people, with the right skill set, because eventually you're going to need that. And the more and more that you want to build your side hustle into something that is robust, something that gives you control, something that allows you to not have to ask and put your hand up and say, hey, teacher, can I go to the bathroom? Or, hey, can I have this day of work off? It's going to put you in a much better position. mistakes are part of the game. Don't let them, and this is coming from someone who is a recovering perfectionist, don't let the mistakes completely destroy your dream, destroy your ability to go out and positively impact other people. Take it as a learning opportunity, how you can make things better, how you can react, and how you can also bring others along and be able to improve what you're doing, be able to become much leaner, more efficient, and also too that having that efficiency is going to give you even better clarity. It's going to give you a stronger sense of purpose, going to give you more of an opportunity to progress and to build positive momentum. So it's going to happen. And when it does, be ready to react and let yourself know that one of the ways that you want to react is take it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to get better, to become much more efficient and effective in the things that you do. So if this has happened to you, or you feel like it's just happened to somebody else and that you know that they need to hear perspective, we'll share today's episode, talk about it. They're not alone. I've been there. I've done that. Use the mistakes to grow, to become better at what you're doing, and also help others to avoid the same type of mistake. So with that stated, while you're sharing, I'm going to be here preparing for the next episode. And so until then, go out and make it a great day. And thank you very much. Today's conversation was sponsored by the Billy Keels Advisory Program. If you're looking to make your 9-to-5 optional and need some help, just go to billykeels.com/advising. Once again, that's billykeels.com/advising.